also learned a lot like from these conferences where you engage with people working on different topics, like from different backgrounds and different fields, is that there is a huge difference between how public opinion is shaped in different contexts.
One of the most important findings is pretty bad news, which is that environmental policy is increasingly polarized ideologically in ways that it really wasn't in the past. If you look across democracies, and one I know best is the United States, but if you went back 50 years, environmental conservation was not an especially left or right issue. It was not something that was owned entirely by the Democrats or the Republicans. Today, it's become very, very polarized, particularly when it comes to climate.
What is one of the most surprising things to me is how social norms vary in various contexts. If we look at, for example, the European context and the US context, I think it's very surprising that climate change denialism is a social norm, like is part of social desirability bias in Europe, while in the US this would be something that people express openly, even though they believe in climate change. So there is a broad variety of like what social norms make, how they shape public opinion, or how people would answer in your surveys.
I'd say that one of the important finding, which is actually quite recent, is mostly this empirical literature that is linked carbon pricing and mitigation of greenhouse gas emission, how actually it's an effective political tools to achieve these mitigation goals. I'd say that's one of the main turn in environmental economics.
One of the really interesting developments is in the shift from studying problems to trying to understand what are the big challenges in terms of cooperating across the world. And I look at the global dimensions of environmental cooperation and trying to understand some of the big challenges that make it difficult for countries to address environmental problems, especially those that span across borders.
I think that at least for me, something that really helped me think about things differently is that, at the beginning, I think we were thinking about environmental issues as collective action problems, and it's about, this common pool resources problem, and thinking, at an international level, it's really hard to get people to agree on doing things, and nobody wants to be the first to do this, right? Like the classic free rider problem kind of thing, and that's why we don't see more action towards environmental protection. Whereas I think there is more and more literature saying no, it's actually redistributive issues. It has to do with interest groups and how they lobby and how they, shape public opinion and how they obstruct action.
To me, it's not so much the findings that have really propelled the field forward as the approaches. What's really exciting to me is the introduction of environmental data into political science. We are shaped by our contexts, our social interactions, our economic interactions, our political interactions are shaped by context. And for a long time, the field ignored environment as a context. But how we experience the world around us, how environmental conditions shape communities and shape our own personal lives is a really important part of our political processes. And it's been really exciting to see those conditions get incorporated into political analysis.